Check, check, check. Checks in the mail, everybody. PTPOP here. Going on a little bit early to make sure I got all my pieces, parts working together. Hold on a second here. All right, I'm back. And I'm better than ever, everybody. Should I bring myself up here? Little thumbnail I created for myself. I'm getting reacclimated to all of my hardware and software stuff. We haven't done this on a consistent basis in a while. So why don't we just get started? It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes till the hour. There I am. All my batteries are about to die. Sounds like a personal problem, I know. Oh, my battery's about to die. Oh. So let me turn this off up here. I don't know why Atomos makes a monitor that doesn't have a way to plug it into the wall. So hey there, everybody. PTPOP here. What's going on tonight? How's everybody doing? If anybody's out there, let me see who's out there. Let me go over here. Let's see here. There we are. Hey, we've got a couple online. Hey there, Greg, how's it going? Good evening. Thanks for stopping by and watching tonight. And I thought I'd just come on. I'm trying to make this a regular thing on Wednesdays. I've been really busy, and I haven't been posting on the channel too much because I've been traveling. And we've got a lot of stuff going on at home and all kinds of stuff. You know, life gets in the way. So I'm trying to make this a consistent thing because Wednesday nights I seem to have some, time to myself to do this. And I appreciate all of you who do watch. I'm going to wait and get some other people on here because I'm about 10 minutes early, but I wanted to make sure everything was working before I jumped into it completely and wholeheartedly. And I'm just, like I said, I'm getting reacclimated to all of this equipment. I haven't really used it very much in a couple of years. I had not done live streaming other than from my phone. And I usually do the live streaming when I'm driving. And that's really hard to respond to people when I'm driving unless I'm at a light or I stop in a parking lot and stuff. And I like making that connection with everybody. And there's usually quite a few people to stop by and watch. I was watching a guy today on YouTube that said a lot of the people that respond on different YouTube channels are bots. They're not even real people. And I think that's true, but I think for the most part, the people I talk to are actually legitimate people because I have interactions with them and I talk to them offline. And I think this is just an awesome platform because I've gotten to talk to people from around the world. There's a guy named David Coffey who is a personality here on YouTube, and he and I have gotten to know each other a little bit, and I interviewed him on my show. He has a book. And I interviewed him and talked about his book. And you know what, David? I am really sorry. I'm trying to remember the name of your book now. I think this is just old age. The individual author. Damn. Of course, there's a bunch of different people named David Coffey. But, geez, I can't remember the name of your book, David. Oh, man, this is author, England. Well, hopefully you'll forgive me, David. I don't remember the name of your book, and I was going to plug it just now, but it wasn't something I planned on. It was just something I was, doing impromptu. But yeah, here I am, and here you are, and see who we got out here. Hey, we got a few people. So I'm PTPOP, and if you're new to my channel, I predominantly talk about working in call centers and the horrors of working in call centers. I also talk about the the corporate world and my honest insights on the corporate world and the atrocities that it commits against the world and against its people that it uses as employees. So that's how my channel got started. It didn't really get started that way. I started like 20 years ago just tossing up a couple of music videos. I'm a songwriter and a performer, and for many years I was writing my own stuff and performing live out in local coffee shops and private parties and bars and taverns and things. And I've recently, since COVID hit, I stopped playing out because a lot of all my gigs got canceled. From like 2019 until 2023, I didn't have a gig, and then I've gotten a couple over the years, but I'm not really that into it. It's not really something I really enjoy anymore. So I do this now. I do YouTube pretty much full time, but I've noticed recently that some of the guys and gals that I watch have really run into a lot of problems with YouTube. There's a guy named Jack Morgan who has like 500,000 subscribers, and I like watching this guy, and they demonetized his channel. He claims he was making 20 grand a month, and they took everything away from him with no real legitimate explanation. And they said that they still owed him $20,000 from his last pay date. They won't pay him for it. Go to his channel and watch it. They've really stuck it to him. And they've done that to a lot of people on here. And so it's really hard to get motivated to do this because what I think they're doing is they're trying to squeeze all of the independent people out of the picture, like me and you and whoever else is on here. And they're bringing in Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan and all these other people that are shills for the government, shills for the right or the left or the CIA and the FBI. And think about it, Tucker Carlson used to work for Fox, and now he's on here. And then Megyn Kelly used to work for Fox or CNN or something like that. Now she's on here. Come on. You're trying to tell me that this isn't by design? I think these people made up the story that they were let go or they were pushed out or they were worked out of the system or fired. And all of a sudden they've got huge followings on YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff. I don't think that's by chance. They're trying to squeeze us out because people think they're more legitimate. The problem with that is they have agendas and they have people behind them and they have handlers and they have booking, they have agents and they have all kinds of people telling them what to talk about, what not to talk about. Myself, nobody's controlling me. Nobody's saying, hey, the only people controlling me is YouTube. YouTube's the only one that tells me you can't say these words and you can't talk about these topics. And so on and so forth. Let me make sure I've got audio on here. Greg says, hey Pete, I emailed you my call center story last Thursday, and I was... Oh, Greg, I don't know. I thought I responded to everybody. Yeah, okay, my audio's coming through. All right. Let me take a look here at my email. Pull up the old email here. Check. Yeah, I got audio. I got audio. What do you go by on your email? Let's see here. Do you go by? Let me look at the message. Do you go by Greg? I swear I did reply. I'm really bad at this. I hate Gmail. Gmail's horrible and non-intuitive. So that's no excuse, but I had gone through and I thought I responded to everybody. Oh, hey, Greg, there you are, October 23rd. Sorry about that. Let me read it right now. I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't see this. I'll read this. I didn't realize you sent me a Word document. I'm so sorry about that. Let me take a look. Here, I'll just click on things. I'll check it out. It's nothing personal. I get these emails, and if I click on them in Gmail, it sends the email to the bottom of the page, and I forget about it. And I've gotten maybe 10 responses for my inquiries. And I don't have Word on this laptop, so I don't think I can read it here. Oh, maybe I can. It converted it for me. You're in Atlanta. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, this is quite lengthy. Thank you so much for this. I will read this. I promise. I really appreciate it too because oh, where to go? I get really confused on Gmail. There's a few things that I just get confused with, and Gmail's one of them. Gmail is bad. Teespring, where I sell my T-shirts, is an awful platform, and I'm trying to transfer my stuff over to a different platform, but I haven't gotten around to it yet, and it's a lot of work because I got to move all my artwork over to some other platform, and Teespring is awful. I don't understand Teespring. Another one is Wix. My website, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, my website is hosted by Wix, and I just redesigned it, and I stumbled my way through it and had AI actually redesign my website. Let's see him download this. There we go. Oh, stop. Not you guys. Let me just forward this to my Yahoo account. Reply. So I'm thinking in this documentary I'm working on about call centers is taking people's stories and then get an actors or actresses to come in on camera and do a dramatization of it instead of having you guys, it's going to be impossible for me. I definitely don't have the money to fly to Georgia and fly to, California. And I've talked to people all over the world too. I've talked to people in the UK, and there's no way I can fly to the United Kingdom. I could if I want to go broke. And if I really want to dedicate myself to this thing and just spend every last penny we've got making this production, but I'll never see the money back unless, I don't even know if HBO is still around, if Netflix or HBO buys it from me. So I will look at that. Thank you so much for sending that. Yeah, and the documentary is going. It's a slow process, as I've said in the past. It's a it is a marathon, not a sprint. And where did my website go? I had my website up here a second ago. Skate and Bear Studios. There it is. Let me bring that up here. This is my new website. I redesigned it just the other day. I host it. It's hosted through Wix. And I have always had a hard time with Wix. And I used to know how to design websites through HTML and XHTML. And I started getting cascading style sheets. And I thought Wix was going to be easy. I'm paying like $40 a month or something now because I paid for this AI thing that comes in. And I hit a couple of buttons and I told it what I wanted. And this is what it came up with. And I actually think it looks pretty good. I was really impressed. It took me about 4 or 5 hours. And I come up with a brand new redesign on my website. It's search engine optimized. SEO. It's on all the Google platforms. And it's going to take a while to see if I get any additional traffic. But it came up with all this wording too. Canvas for your vision. At Skating Bear Studios, we believe in the power of innovation and storytelling. Explore our diverse range of creative services designed to inspire and elevate your projects to new heights. And that's pretty much true. That's me in a nutshell. But I started to start selling services, and this was an idea that the AI bot gave me, was to start selling my services, consulting on filmmaking, podcast creation course, and a photography session. And if you don't know, I do have a podcast called PTPOP, A Mind Revolution. And it's on Spotify and Apple. And this is my podcast. And my last one, I interviewed Mark Devlin, who's an author from the United Kingdom. And he's got a book called No One's Dad's a Plumber. And, I've got a bunch of interviews over the years with artists, either locally or nationally. And I really enjoyed the podcast because when I was a kid, I really wanted to be in radio. I wanted to work for like a rock and roll station back in Cleveland in the old days, in the 70s and 80s. And part of the 90s, there was a station called WMMS, Home of the Buzzard. And I listened to that station all the time. That 98.5, which was WGCL. And then when I went away to college and came home, it was WNCX. And they played a lot of classic rock, and then Clear Channel took over the world, and they started playing the same 30 songs over and over again. I stopped listening to radio. But I like the podcast. I interview local and national artists. I talk about controversial topics, everything from Manson to UFOs and things like that. I had mentioned my Teespring thing, but I'm doing a podcast creation course. So if you want consultation on how to start a podcast, the equipment you need, what you need to get started, I can help you out with that. Photography session, I can do that, any of the stuff through Zoom, but I can help get you started on a basic DSLR, lenses and lighting and things like that. I can help you with advanced things as well. The documentary is on here too. I've got the new documentary, which I'm calling it Disconnected, Voices from the Call Center. And basically, this is what it's about. It's a raw documentary that exposes the hidden human cost of America's customer service industry through candid interviews, personal stories, and powerful visuals. Former call center workers share their experience of burnout and stress. And hopefully, I'll have it ready by fall of 26, so about a year from now. I'm going to be the main character, and I'll be the protagonist, I guess. And I'm already working on how I'm going to portray my story. The reason I'm doing this, I really have not found too many people I haven't found anybody locally that'll go on camera. And in order for me, like I just interviewed a guy last week, I think. He's from New Mexico. And again, my brain's not good. I don't remember his name, but he was awesome. And he works in the tech world, and he said he wanted to be in the film. But I'm going to have to bring him on through Zoom, do an interview through Zoom, which is fine. You know, I think it'll be fine. I'll try to direct it from here, so I can get a good idea how he sets up his camera and gets a good microphone and things like that, because he's got some good stories. And I think he's the gentleman I talked to that says somebody actually died in his call center. They died, and the supervisor came out and took over the call, stepped over the body, and took over the call and apologized to the customer for the delay. And, you know, I said, hey, dude, is that true? Is that real? He goes, oh, yeah. And I believe it. I saw it at Verizon. People were dropping like flies in that call center floor, and nobody cared. They could have cared less. Just called 911. The paramedics come in, you know, walk them out and stuff like that. So that's the documentary. Here's a link to my YouTube channel. And then some of my photography. This is some of my work from over the years. Most of it's here in Cleveland. This is the Grand Teton Mountains in Wyoming. And then here's links to my social media. This is Instagram. What is this? Is this YouTube? I think this is all Instagram. For some reason, Wix has this agreement with Instagram, and they work hand in hand with them. And then I did mention my Teespring account. I've got Teespring. If I can remember how to type. Skating Bear Studios. Well, I guess I don't come up like that. Oh, I'm already in there. Okay. I'm already logged in. Stores. Wait, am I on Wix or am I on No, I'm on Teespring. There we go. So this is my Teespring account. If you are interested in buying any of my products, I've got cell phone covers with my call center survivor logo on it, sweatshirts, my Oingo Boingo and PTPOP mug. I've got a PTPOP mug, that you can drink your morning coffee and have PTPOP right there with your sweatshirts. And let's go back here real quick. Oingo Boingo's popular. This is a popular sale. If you want to have breakfast with an Oingo Boingo or drink with him while you're at work, Oingo Boingo will keep your coffee warm. This is a poster of my new film, Disconnected, Voices from the Call Center. And got sweatshirts, posters. If you want to support the film, buy some merchandise. All your support and everything, every little bit will help a great deal. Excuse me a second. So there you have it. Let's see what we got going on here. Oops. All right, so take a look here. We got, who is that? Munifi. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You feel like you're dying every day. Do you work in a call center? Or are you just depressed? I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. One of my favorite Beatles songs is Your Blues. So yeah, I'm working on a documentary. I have to take it just one thing at a time because it's just me. I don't have a camera crew and a co-writer and a producer, and I don't have any of that fancy stuff. It's just me with an idea. I talked to a great guy here on YouTube, very well-known, well-respected documentary filmmaker, and I briefly mentioned about consulting, being a consultant for the film, and he said he wanted $500 an hour to be a consultant, and I'm like, shit, no, I can't do that. I mean, maybe if we talk for 2 hours, but you know, I have to put it on a credit card, that kind of thing, and he would be perfect for it. So we'll see. I'm excited about it. I've got lots of ideas, and it's coming along slowly but surely. And meeting with a friend of mine next week who is a former counselor, and he worked in the corporate world, or worked with people who had worked in the employee, is it EAP? Employee Action Program, I think it's called, Employee Assistance Program, where he worked with people, he's counseling people who worked in the corporate world. And hopefully, if you know, I haven't seen him in a long time, and he's retired now, but he would be perfect to go on camera and talk about the mental anguish that people go through in these call centers. Yeah, let's see. You just clocked out. Yeah, it's all you can do is take a day to day and get clocked out and try not to take it personally and go home and just forget about it if you can. You know, the customers weren't the hard part with me. The call center customers, some of them got under my skin, but not many. I'm pretty laid back, and for somebody to say I'm a pickle sucker, it doesn't bother me. They could say my mother was a pickle sucker. You know, my mother may have been. I don't know. She's dead, and we'll never know. And I never asked my dad if they did that. And I don't think either one of them would tell me because they're from a different school. But the hard part for me that got me depressed was, hey, crazy homebody girl, how's it going? Was I went in there to work. I went in there to do my best, and I'm a respectable, hardworking employee, and I was never respected. I was disrespected on a constant basis. And I was written up and told I was no good. And, you know, it really got to me because I realized the cards were stacked against me. Everything was stacked against me. And I thought at first, it really drove me crazy because I thought I was being paranoid. My wife's like, oh, it can't be that bad. You're just paranoid. You're thinking about it too much. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You know, you go in there, you do. I mean, I said to my manager, the Zippity Bebop guy, he had me on a PIP. And I think I've told you guys this, I'm sure I have. He had me on a PIP, and I was doing better and better on my calls, but he's always seemed to find the calls that I screwed up on. And I got so paranoid, I thought maybe they had somebody just intentionally feeding me bad calls, like feeding me calls that were like impossible to answer, like what's the speed of light divided by 2 on, you know, Saturn. I get these really weird calls that were like, what? I don't know how to answer that. And like, you're sitting there and you go numb. You hear these customers with these really weird questions. So he always found these really bizarre calls, and I started getting really paranoid. And I said, to my wife, I said, there is no way that this guy, I take 1,000 calls a month, and he always finds one or two calls that are atrocious. And it was really a bad environment. So I had been on this PIP for months, and there was no escape from it. He just always found things wrong with it. So I went to HR, and he said, look, I don't want to be on this guy's team anymore. I'm on this PIP. And so the woman pulled up my file and said, when you're put on a PIP, they're getting ready to fire you. And in order to fire you, it has to be documented with human resources, because they're the guard dogs of the corporate world. They're the guard dogs of the company. They're not there to help you. But it all has to be documented with HR, because when they let you go, they have to have it all legally binding. Otherwise, I could have sued them, right? So I walk in HR. I'm telling this lady this sob story. You know, this guy's an a-hole. He's got me in a PIP. And she's like, hold on, Pete, let me pull up your file. And keep in mind, this woman has 1,500 people in this call center. This is a huge Verizon Wireless call center. Massive. And she comes back to her desk. She goes, you know, I don't have any record of a PIP. Are you sure you're on a PIP? I said, yeah, I've been on a PIP. He had me sign this thing, and I've been on it for months. And he just is relentless. And I told her what's going on. And she goes, that's really weird. You know, I'll look into it. And she didn't talk to me again. But within a couple of weeks, I was traded off of his team onto another guy's team. And I don't know what happened. I quit. I resigned from my position a couple months after that, maybe not even that long. And it was such an awful thing to go, wait a minute, he doesn't have any record of the PIP? Does that mean he was bullshitting me all those months of just constant torment and torture? And why would he do that? And I don't think he's with the company anymore. Oh, we got a bunch of people now. Who do we got here? Let's see here. Bath employer. No, I've had no luck in the job search. I might be working at a drugstore, but that's the only thing. I haven't filled out the application yet. Let's see here. Crazy homeboy girl. I almost thought I was getting pulled with some of the calls I had today. Getting pulled. What do you mean getting pulled? TRG, hey TRG. They're making us listen to agents who were already experienced in banking and training. I asked if there was anyone we can relate to with no previous banking experience. So you're saying they made you listen to calls from people that were already experienced with banking, and you asked to listen to people that were inexperienced, I think is what you're saying, which is a good idea because you can hear people struggle. But what they do, especially in banking, is when they bring you out to double jack or do a side-by-side, they sit you down with one of their most experienced senior reps. And the senior reps are people usually that have been there 6 months or longer, who have really, or allegedly, been there a while, and they know the system, and they go through the calls like that. And they make it sound like it's so easy, and they get one call after the other. There's never anybody screaming at them. There's nobody calling them dirty, filthy names. These calls are so simple, and they give you this false sense of security, like, oh, wow, this is going to be easy, man. This lady, she's been with the company so long. I got it made, man. Oh, geez, I want to be here forever. I want to be king of the hill pretty soon. Then you take your first call, and you're just hit blindsided by these crazy freaking customers. Just lunatics calling all day long, especially in banking. I worked in banking for a long time, and there's not one customer. Almost every customer, the last bank I called in, was just as dumb as a box of rocks. Didn't know their ass from a football bat. Couldn't add or subtract, and you have to sit there and try to explain to them positive and negative numbers. I mean, how did these people make it out of 8th grade? They go over this stuff in 7th and 8th grade. They go out how to balance a checkbook, I think, in 8th or 9th grade. At least in my high school and junior high school, they did. So, yeah, I mean, you're never going to, TRG, you'll never get them to listen to you. I'm telling you all, just keep your mouth shut. Don't make any suggestions on how to improve it. Don't ask them for anything you think, because they're just going to look at you and go, oh, okay, Then they're going to go back and have a meeting and say, hey, that guy over there, he's a troublemaker. He's asking too many questions. He wants to change things. Just go to work, do the best you can, and go home. I'm telling you, if you go in there and insist that you listen to somebody who's an experience to hear how they handle calls or vice versa, you get so much pushback. I tried that too. Excuse me. I tried all the time when I was at Wells Fargo. There was this one girl on our team that was the top sales rep, and every month she was the top sales rep. And I sat down and I thought, statistically, how is this possible? Because you get such a variety of customers in all the time on your headset. There's no chance you're going to get the same type of customer. So the odds are stacked against you that you're going to constantly sell all the time and be that good that you're going to constantly turn like every other call into a sale. And she was always number one. And I said, hey, I went up to my supervisor and like Bill or whatever his name is. I go, hey, can I sit and listen to her calls? Because I want to hear what she's doing. He's like, no, you don't want to do that. No, she's real busy. It's going to be hard to get you off the phone. He came up with every excuse in the book. And finally, he let me do it, and she gave me some pointers, and it did help me. But then the whole thing with her was I found out that her mother worked in processing. And in banking, there's when you take the loan and you get them to agree to a loan, it goes to a processor, and they process the loan. And somehow, this was a 500-man call center. And how she got to be number one in the entire call center every week, every month, all year long made no sense, because there's 499 other reps around you doing just as much as you are. How are your loans? This is the other thing with Wells Fargo. If you got them to agree to a home equity line of credit or a home equity loan, they had to fund. The loans had to fund. And there's a processor that takes the loan, has to process it and put it through the pipeline and get it approved, right? So the chances of all of your loans getting funded, were statistically impossible. So in order for you to make your commission and be number one, the home equity loans where the customer would take out a chunk of their equity in their house right up front instead of getting a line, they would have to fund that. The customer would get the check, and then you would get your commission based off that. And this young lady, everything she put through the pipeline funded. And she was always at the top, always at the top. And I found out her mom worked in processing. And somebody, I don't remember how I found this out, but there was another woman I worked with said, did you know her mom works in processing? And I went, oh no. What this woman allegedly was doing is she was taking her daughter's loan applications and moving them to the top of the stack and processing them so she could get paid out every month. Now, why do I think this is true? Because Wells Fargo is constantly being investigated for shady banking practices. It's in the news all the time. They do some very questionable things behind the scenes. Geez, we got a lot of people here tonight. Hey everybody, who do we got here? Let's see, my manager is always talking about this lady that according to her, she is great. As of today's date, she has taken only 650 calls, and I have taken 1,021. That is a difference of 371 calls. Did they post those numbers? How do you know those numbers? But that's a significant difference. That means she's got longer talk time or more hang-ups. People are hanging up on her. Yeah, that is weird. She must have a very long talk time, but she must be great. I don't know. Still in training, by the way, but it's confusing with using TS2 system, the DOS. Oh, is that one of those old mainframe systems? Oh my God. Banks, I don't know why they stick to that old mainframe, non-GUI stuff. Drives me insane. Oh yeah, they've had these mainframe systems in since the 80s. I used one when I first got out of college at my first job, but it was not nearly as complex as the ones I used further on down the road, where you got to put in an X and a Z and a number 2 and stand on your left foot and spin around in circles to get to the next screen. Yeah, all banks all around the world use this old mainframe stuff. I've heard it's because there's low maintenance. It's less expensive to run. There's less downtime. There's less moving parts, so to speak, and they don't crash very much. And they're hard to compromise, to hack into. Let's see here. They call them a team manager. Yeah, that whole team stuff, TRG is baloney. How can you have a team in a call center where you never work together? I mean, statistically you work together, but it's not like you're on a football team where each guy, whether it's soccer or American football, each person is dependent upon the other person to score and to move the ball. It's not like that in a call center. They call it a team because it's supposed to build some type of camaraderie, and it doesn't, because there's so much turnover, and you never get to talk to anybody. There's no camaraderie. Nobody ever taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Pete, did you try doing this on this call? This will help you out a lot." Everybody's out there for themselves. I've had a few people. I've been fortunate enough to have a few people help me out and be a team member, but not many. There was a woman named Robin, over 30, maybe 31 years ago. I was sinking bad on the call center floor, GT Wireless, and this woman, just this wonderful woman, she jumped up and she helped me and she got me up to speed. And I've been trying to find her. I found her, I think I found her on LinkedIn. I don't know if she remembers me. She probably doesn't remember me. I wrote to her and said I want to talk to her, and she never responded. I mean, she could have dropped dead. I don't know. Who else we got here? The supervisors, this is Greg. The supervisors are almost as bad to deal with as customers. I will get some of the strangest calls when the supervisors are all in meetings. I often wondered if they were the ones calling. Yeah, Greg, I think that too. I think they go back into a room. They all go into a meeting and then they call people. This is my theory, and I don't think it's paranoid. I think it's the truth. They go back into a room and they can see your extension, and then they can dial into your extension and pretend to be, Bob Leibowitz from New Jersey, and they ask you really insane questions. And then they call Q&A and say, "Hey, we just tricked Pete on this one call. He bombed. I want you to pull Q&A on it and then send it over to me." I swear they do that. They're a bunch of sadistic bastards. I swear to God, and you guys, you're my witness. You've seen this yourselves. I swear to God, they're never at their desks. These call center supervisors always go into meetings for a couple hours, and that's when the weird calls start dropping in your headset. So I think you're right there, Greg. Supervisors are the worst. Love to micromanage. God forbid you need help. Yeah, I don't understand it. These supervisors are never at their desks. And I don't know where they go. And I've seen this across the country. I worked in Arizona and I've worked in Ohio, but I've talked to people in other states. Same thing. These supervisors show up, they get their coffee, they check their email, and then they disappear. And they're never there to answer your questions. They're never there to help you. I used to work Sundays at Verizon Wireless, and there was a skeleton crew there on Sundays. And I worked in the morning. I went in from 10 to 3 or something, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 to 6, something like that. Whatever 8.5 hours is. And there was never any supervisors on the floor. There was like one lady in this massive call center. It's like a 1 million square foot building. And as far as the eye could see, there were desks, and most of them were empty. And the supervisor was always at the other end of the building, a couple hundred yards away from you. And you have to call them and run down, put the customer on hold to go find them. And they're just all running around socializing with, the lady, the first supervisor I had at Verizon was Mexican. And she was the chismosa lady. She always said everything was chismosa. And everyone knew she was having an affair with some guy on the floor. So she was always over at this other guy's desk flirting with him. But her husband worked in the call center too. So I don't know if they had like an open marriage, but she was openly flaunting and flirting with this other guy. And it was just like, come on, lady, I need some help. I'm sorry. You know, this guy's good in bed or something, but could you please keep it in your pants and come over and help me? I was working alongside lunatics in that place. There were some real weird people in that call center. So, what do we got here? So I'm trying to think what else is going on. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I'm working on a new song. I'm working on a new blues song. I got a new song out there called Blues Still Gonna Get You. I got a music video I created all in AI. And I'm afraid to put anything out there that's creative anymore, because what these AI companies do is they go out, when you put in prompts and queries into ChatGPT and say, make me a picture of a goose wearing a football helmet, playing soccer or something, it goes out into the world of the digital world and grabs things from other established artists and creates that piece of work. I don't know exactly how and where it does it, but I think it queries and takes things from independent artists that aren't established or signed with like a publishing company or things like that, and it's destroying art. It's destroying it left and right, but I still use it. I use it, I use the music video because I want to see if I can make a whole music video. And I personally don't have the money to go out and hire actors to dress as zombies or aliens and things like that. I just don't have it. We don't have it. So I make this stuff, and I'm really reluctant to put anything out on the internet anymore. I sell paintings. I'm not painting. I sell photographs. I have paintings for sale on the internet, but I sell mostly my photography and my books. And I'm not with a publisher. Everything is published on Amazon. I've got 3 books out there. And I'm going to show you those too. See, I'll show you those too. Amazon, we'll do KDP. See if I can find myself on here. Here, I'll just look up Press 1 for Murder. That's my call center book. Press 1 for Murder. Here you go. There I am. There's Press 1 for Murder. This is a book I wrote, book of fiction about a guy that the police think he's killing off his call center customers because he works for a local bank. But I have a bunch. I think of 3 books. I got Press 1 for Murder, Small, and Breathe. Breathe is pretty popular. I don't know why my book's small. My book's small. They're like novellas. They're a little bit smaller than novellas. My book Small never really took off. It's about a guy that is 50. He loses his job and his wife, and then he has sex with a gypsy hooker, and she puts a spell on him and transfers him back to the age of 10. But I can't get any traction on this one. But Press 1 for Murder, thanks to you guys, has done pretty good. And then Breathe, John Lennon Conspiracy to Murder is a book, a fiction I wrote about John Lennon faking his death. And my theory in the book is, Jim Morrison's really dead, Elvis is dead, but John Lennon is the one person who everyone thinks is murdered and really gone, but he's really alive. And he's had a dream of breaking away from fame and becoming a transgender woman. And this is long before the transgender theme was really popular. I wrote this book years ago, probably almost 10 years ago now. So those are my books, and check them out on Amazon. I've got music too. Probably just find it on my channel here. But that's some of the stuff I got going on. So let me see who we got here live streaming. Oh, previous message from you, TRG. Let me see. You mean the one about the team manager? Let's see. Then they call them a team manager, but they care about is meeting the targets and not the least interest of their employees. I'll show him a piece of mine at my next 121. What's a 121? Yeah, I mean, they don't care about anything but the metrics because these team managers have the people above them. You know, there's team leads and team managers, and then I think there's departmental managers, then there's director. And the director gets, you know, directives from the C-suite people saying, hey, you got to make these numbers. We're losing money in this call center. We're hemorrhaging money. You got to get these people on and off the phone as quick as possible, blah, blah, blah. We got people calling me, getting all the, you know, the CEO calls down to the director and says, this guy called me and said this they're not handling the calls right. You got to get these people off my back. It's all about money. It's all about metrics. And this book I'm reading by Debbie Goldman, Disconnected. I'm only through the first chapter, Debbie. I don't know if you watch me or not, but I'm a slow reader. I try. I'm slow with this book because the more I read this book, the angrier I get. Because believe it or not, there was a time in the corporate world where the corporations made a sincere attempt to treat their employees and their customers with dignity and respect. And I was part of that. I was part of that at the very end of that era of the corporate world. And I got to live it. And then the digital world came in and everything became digitized. This is long before AI, or at least before AI was published. And it went from a healthy, respectful working environment where I look forward to going to work to just a nightmare. And it almost happened overnight. Between like 1988 and 1994, it entirely changed. And when I read this book, I mean, there were customer service representatives in the Bell Company before divestiture in like 1968, making $24,000 a year. And to give you an idea, let me bring up ChatGPT. Oops. ChatGPT. How much is 24,000 a year in 1969 worth in 2025, you know? So we're waiting for that to come up. So if you earn $24,000, this is ChatGPT. If you earn $24,000 in 1969 as a customer service representative for AT&T and you're part of the union, for inflation for 2025, that is approximately 24,000 times 8.83, which equals $212,000 in today's dollars. So let's see here. Let me ask this. Was $24,000 a good salary for 1969? It says yes. The median household income in 1969 was about $8,389 per year. That's according to the U.S. Census data. That means someone earning $24,000 made roughly 3 times the typical household of income. Right? That is amazing. Okay? Now keep in mind that most of the people in the Bell companies back then, the operators and the customer service reps, were women, white women. The men all worked in the switches doing the technical work. The women were all the customer service reps and the operators. So to put it in perspective, a new house in 1969 cost about $25,000. That's 1 year's salary could nearly buy a house outright. Okay, a new car costs $3,000 to $3,500. You could easily buy several new cars per year on that salary. Gasoline was 35 cents per gallon. A loaf of bread was roughly 23 cents. Now the modern equivalent with inflation is $24,000 in '69 is $212,000 today, which would be considered high professional or executive level income today. Now, keep that in mind. I got into customer service in 1989, and I went to my first call center job working for a small telecommunications company that was directly working with AT&T. We had a 6-man call center, and I had a dedicated business accounts assigned to me, and I was making $16,500, right? $16,500 in 1989. 20 years later, the salary went down. Now figure that one out. Fast forward to 1994. I left my first telecom company 4 or 5 years later, and I went to GTE Wireless, which became Altel Wireless, which is now Verizon Wireless. In 1994, I was working for a major wireless call center at the beginning stages of the wireless boom. And I was in a 300-man call center, and I was making $18,500. By the time I left there for 3 years later, I was making 20. I was making about 20,100, something weird number like that, in 1994. By the time I left there, I was making 23,000. The pay has gone down. Inflation has gone up. Corporations are making money hand over fist. It's insane. So someone making $24,000 per year in 1969, especially for a woman, if you got a single woman making that kind of money, she was all set. She didn't need anybody coming along to pay her bills. She was living comfortably, probably owned a nice home and a new car, and likely professional or managerial role. No. She said, no, this is not true. This is based off of Debbie's book. This is not a managerial person. No, I'll tell them this is a customer service rep at AT&T or Bell. So as I'm reading this book, I'm infuriated because these just blood-sucking corporations have eliminated the unions, and they have gone out of their way to make every working person's life miserable, just so the guys at the top can have the leather mistress on the tropical island with a bunch of little boys hanging out. And you know it's true. It's in the news all the time. Telephone operators, service reps. No, this, I don't know where they get their information from. No, I got the book right here. Let me get the book. No, I'm not going to get it because I've got it bookmarked, but I'm not certain where it is. Now I got to get the book. I'm all riled up now because Debbie knows her shit. And you can hear me because we've got a lavalier mic on. This lady knows her stuff, man. And she wouldn't make this stuff up. Debbie Goldman is a Harvard graduate. A very intelligent, strong woman. And she knows her stuff. Unless I misread what she wrote. That could be a possibility. But ChatGPT is telling me that a CSR back in 1969 was only making $8,000 a year. And I don't buy it for a second. I gotta find this now. Okay. She says, this is on chapter 1, page 35. In 1983, this is 83. Hold on a second. Wrong year. In 1968, Let me find it here. I might have my years off. My years are wrong, I think. I gotta find this. I might lose some viewers, but what the heck. I'm starting to talk like Howard Stern here. I'm still looking here. I know I got my numbers right. I'm almost positive I have my numbers right. Because the highest paid people at AT&T were the technicians, and they were men. And then there's operators, which were ladies in the old days, actually would physically put a plug, pull a plug out of one hole and into another to complete a call. That was all changed and replaced by digital technology. But my point is, I'll find this another time. We've gone backwards, and all of you know it. You know, you sit there in these multi-billion, almost trillion-dollar companies. They're paying you chicken feed. They're having you treated like garbage. There's no unions, no protection. There's no government oversight protecting you. There's nothing. You're at the mercy of these sadistic freaks that treat you like crap, and then they're going to take all the jobs that we're slaving away and replace it with AI. So what are we all going to do when AI takes all the jobs? Where are we going to go? McDonald's has digital display screens. You can't even talk to a representative of McDonald's anymore. I don't even go into McDonald's now. I won't even go near one because I don't want to sit there and poke at an iPad. I just want to go in, hey, I want a coffee and give me a coffee and a bag of fries, and I want to get out of there. Oh no, I got to poke at some iPad thing so they can save money. This is no longer about good service. It's no longer about good food. It's about how much money can we make. How much money can we make? And I'm so sick of it. Regardless of whether, I don't think ChatGPT is right, because I have found ChatGPT to be very inaccurate. Very inaccurate. No, this is completely wrong. It says here, $24,000 would have been an elite executive level income. That is crap, because the technicians, the elite were probably making $100,000 a year back then. That's such crap. They don't know. I don't believe ChatGPT. I'm tired of the corporate world. I'm so sick of it. You should see what my wife goes through. You should see what she's gone through. My wife dedicated herself to her previous company for 15 years. She worked her ass off. She lost her health. She lost sleep. She got all kinds of awards. She got to meet the big guy out in San Francisco. They gave her all kinds of bonuses. And then one day, the company made a bad decision and merged with another finance company. And they didn't plan good. They didn't have as much money in their account as it took to do the merger. Of course, they never do. And to compensate for the undersight or the oversight, they just had to lay off like 10,000 people in a blink of an eye. And my wife was walked out the door. And I know, I'm not biased, but my wife is an excellent employee, an excellent manager. She's got a very level head. And they lost a tremendous employee. She was worth her weight in gold. And now they've replaced her with some schmuck for half the salary, who everybody hates because she still talks to people over there. And they've promoted a guy into a position who's now like a senior VP, who is a schmuck. And I believe her. She's a great judge of character because she married me, right? She's a good judge of character. And to see the things that they've done just for the almighty dollar is just absolutely sickening, beyond sickening, that these companies can get away with this. And it's not just because of my wife. There's a lot of good people that got laid off with her. Really good people. And some of them of her friends I've gotten to know, one still works there, didn't get laid off. And then her boss, who loved her, allegedly, will have nothing to do with her now. Won't even give her, I think she'll give her a reference, but won't say anything nice about her because she said, I can't play favorites on LinkedIn because it'll look bad, if I do that for you and not other people. Some bullshit like that. If there's going to be a revolution in this world, there's already going on in Nepal and in Italy and in England. It's got to start here with the corporations. There's got to be something done about these businesses that are taking over the farmland and destroying our drinking water and destroying our crops. I mean, what the heck is Trump doing, selling our soybeans to, it was Argentina or something like that, or Venezuela? I don't know what the hell he's doing. And, you never know what the true story is. Some say that he did that in exchange. They're buying some of our stuff, which you never know what's going on. The guy seems nuttier than a football bat now. I don't know if they put something in his water to make him Alzheimer-ish like Biden, but he walks around like a bumbling idiot now, talking about stuff. I have no idea what the guy is saying now. And this is part of the documentary. I'm so passionate about this because there's got to be some... People are starting to see it. People are starting to see how poorly treated everybody is. These companies, I mean, my God, what is Verizon Wireless worth? What is Verizon? Why am I asking ChatGPT? Their stock is selling at $40.21 a share. They're worth $185 billion. They got to be worth more than that. Come on, $185 billion. That's like chicken feed. But yet, Google is worth. Let's see what it says. Google is worth. Their stock is $274 a share. They're worth $3 trillion. $3 trillion, and they don't even do anything but provide internet service. And they take over everything, and they sell our information. And $3 trillion. Let's see here. How many layoffs has Google had? Yeah, 23, they cut 6% of its global workforce, 12,000 jobs. 2024 additional smaller rounds. The company workforce was listed at approximately 183,000 employees in December 24. So these guys are worth $3 trillion. What is the average employee make at Google? And I'm on their platform complaining about them, and I really don't care because they're only paying me like $70 a month to do this shit. So, according to PayScale, the average, this is from payscale.com, the average base salary at Google is $123,000 per year, with a typical range of roughly $71,000 to $190,000 per year. So $71,000 here in Cleveland, you could basically just get by at 71 grand today. It's not that much. So they're walking that tightrope. They don't want to spend too much money because somebody at the top needs that extra couple $1 trillion to go get the leather mistress and have some little boys on an island. Technical roles make $290,000 to $400,000 per year. New article, I'll show you what I'm looking at. New article in 2024 filing states that a mid-level Google employee made about $331,000 2024. You know, I don't know what to believe anymore. I really don't, because you got to ask yourself a question. If a company's worth $3 trillion, where is all that money going? Where does it go? So let's ask, what is Google's payroll? Annual payroll. They had 100, as of December of 24, they had 183,000 employees. The company reported stock compensation of about $22.78 billion for the year 24. Operating expenses of 24 were roughly 237,000 billion. So let's see here. Of their 3 trillion value, what is the percent of payroll? I guess the rest is all going to infrastructure, right? They're building data farms. They're buying out farmers left and right to build data farms to poison our water, so we can all have this AI crap. Let's see. If we just compare SBC, what's SBC? I didn't ask you anything about SBC. Is SBC around? Oh, stock-based compensation. Well, the stock-based compensation for 183,000 employees is 0.7 to 0.8% of Alphabet's approximate value. 0.7 to 0.8%. You think they could afford a little bit more? Maybe they could fork over a little bit more dough for such one of the biggest companies in the world. Excuse me. See, I'm getting conflicting things here on Google or on chat, because one thing said they're worth 3 trillion, another now this thing is saying, well, they're really only worth 350 billion. But the whole thing is ridiculous. If you look at the rate of inflation compared to what we're all making, it's insane. You can't buy a car now for under $30,000. Here in Cleveland, you can't buy a decent house for under $250,000 to $300,000. Anything under that is in a bad neighborhood. It's the complete truth. Or the house is dilapidated, falling apart, which means it's in a bad neighborhood. While call centers are only a small segment of the corporate world, they're a symptom of a much larger disease. And it drives me nuts, because there was a time, believe it or not, where you could get a job and stay with a company for 30 years and retire, get your gold watch and have a pension and live happily ever after in the Bahamas or wherever you wanted to go. Not anymore, my friends. That's all gone. It all went bye-bye. And, you know, it gets to a place where what's the point? What's the point of even getting out of bed for anything, you know, less than $70,000 a year, and nobody wants to pay you that? I mean, I'm looking at going down to the local drugstore and making, I don't even know what they'll pay me. 60-year-old man, they'll probably pay me $15 an hour if I'm lucky, to stand on my feet all day and stock the shelves and have retards yell at me. I can't find the Depends. Can you help me find the Depends? Oh, they're not in the shelf they were in before, buddy. Oh, I'm about to shit myself. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not going to candy coat at people. I'm pretty dismayed. I'm really dismayed with how they treated my wife. And my wife's grandfather was the vice president of Western Auto, the vice president. No college degree, high school dropout, and he made it to almost the top of that company. I think he even served in the war too, World War II. This is a man who ran a tight ship. This is a man who showed up at one of his warehouses and found a bunch of employees playing dice behind some boxes that were stacked up, and he fired them on the spot. Today you did that, you'd have a lawsuit. You'd have a lawsuit saying fired inappropriately for unauthorized reasons. The world's changed, and I don't like it. I was born in the wrong era. I should have been born during the war, during World War II. I probably would have been killed in the war, but if I survived, at least I could have gone out and found a job. I can't find anything now. I do this. I make $70 a month doing this, and I'm lucky if I sell a book here and there, or a t-shirt and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm bitter, and I'm angry, and I'm going to let the world know about it. I'm going to show up my documentary, and if you want to support me, please support me on what's the thing called? Seed and Spark? Seed and Spark, yeah. Where do people come up with the names of these companies? I really want to know. Hey, Bill, what do we call our company? Hey, why don't we call it Turds or Us? No. How about broken light bulbs and beer? No. Oh, how about something about seeds and Sprout? No, Sprouts? No, there's already a store called that. Seed and Spark, that's it. Bill, you've got it. Where'd they come up with this? They probably got it out of ChatGPT. So I've got this fundraising thing on Seed and Spark. If you have any extra cash, donate, man. Just don't sit here and mooch off me for free. If you want to donate $5, $10, $20, here's my campaign. I sit here like an organ grinder monkey, doing stuff on here. Fork over some dough. So far I've made $25. Some stranger gave me $25, and if I don't make 80% of this, all I'm asking for is a total of $5,000. If I don't make 80% of it, I don't get any of it. And the donors get their donations refunded. I've got followers on here, but they're all spam. It's all bots asking me to pay them to help me improve my status on here. It's all junk. My top cities are Cleveland, Los Angeles, Brazil, California City, and Tallahassee. And, I've tried to market. I've asked friends and family. Nobody's going to help me. So if you want to help, please do. I appreciate all of you for watching tonight. Every little bit will help, but, most people aren't going to help at all. And I found that my whole life. There's very few people that understand what it takes to make a film or paint a painting or write a song. They don't care. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they don't want to support you, they're not going to. And they're going to sit there and, throw back a beer and light up a cigar and watch them pour in our next hamster, and that's their life. And that's the average person is like that. They don't have any passion. People are zombies here in this country. They have no passion, no drive, no desire, no righteous indignation. They have no fight left in them. They just sit in their houses watching sports, watching these god-awful fixed sports teams. And if you try to tell somebody that all major sports are fixed, you're like, no, not my Browns. No. And they cry and they shit. The meanest people are sports fans, Beatles fans, and Star Trek fans. People living in a fantasy world of Bill Shatner, William Shatner, and Leonard Nimoy, and John Lennon. Oh my God, my saviors, they're coming to save me. Come on, guys. William Shatner wouldn't shit on you if you were dying in the middle of the street. He's old as dirt. He's going to be one of the next to kick the bucket, and everyone's going to have this huge, sad memorial because Bill Shatner's dead. Come on. Bill Shatner, fat slob who played an imaginary star commander. And everyone's like, oh, he saved me in my childhood. I was like that with the Beatles. The Beatles were my saviors, man. The Beatles could do no wrong. And I don't care about the Beatles anymore. Paul McCartney wouldn't walk across the street to shake my hand. I got a text message from him on my birthday, though, saying, hey, happy birthday, mate, because I belonged to his fan club. I signed up for his fan club years ago. I don't remember disclosing my birthday to him, so I still haven't heard from him though. He hasn't called me. He hasn't offered me a good night kiss or anything, because he's too busy being Paul McCartney. He's way up here above us all because he writes songs. Isn't it kind of weird? He's basically an organ grinder monkey, a well-paid organ grinder monkey that gets up and dances for us every couple of minutes and does his big concerts in Rio de Janeiro and stuff. And then he goes back in his hole wherever he lives now in England, or he used to have a farm in Tucson. And we're all supposed to sit there and worship him because he writes songs. Meanwhile, people are living on the streets. Meanwhile, people are losing their jobs while he's up there being the organ grinder monkey, along with Taylor Swift and all the other idiots that put on their skimpy clothes and act like they're saving our youth. Yeah, I really want my kids worshiping Taylor Swift, just a basically hypocritical Christian who puts on skimpy clothes so you can see her camel toe, yet she's a Christian. Makes perfectly good sense. I know Christ in the Bible said, please put on your skin-tight outfits so I can see your camel toe. That's what the New Testament is all about. But if you see anything against Taylor Swift, oh, Taylor Swift is a strong, dominant woman who's changing the world and giving girls the strength for girl power. It's such horseshit, man. There's people here buy it, and they buy it up. They eat it up because they've been hypnotized. And they're taking our jobs, and now people can't get their food stamps because the government's a bunch of spoiled, narcissistic white men with bad toupees and good capped teeth, and they don't have the decency to stop spending money on other countries' problems and keep it at home. Here in Ohio, our own governor is going to give Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, $600 million of our tax-earned money that is somehow in like this fund, it's unclaimed funds. $600 million of unclaimed funds is going to go to build the Cleveland Browns a new stadium. This is a team that has sucked for 30 years. They're terrible. The owner's an idiot. The general manager's an idiot. Why not take that $600 million and give it to all the people that need food in this state, because their food stamps are taken away? Oh, no, we have to make sure Jimmy Haslam is appeased because he brings so much commerce into our state with this horrible, stanky team, with players that don't know a football from a basketball. I think these men get up each day and they don't know their ball sack from a basketball hoop. These are idiots that don't know how to play the game of football, and they've been playing since the age of 10. And they get out in the field and they don't know what to do. They can't remember the snap count on a punt. On a punt, you can't remember. That's the only thing. They got special teams that go out for the punt, and their only thing in the whole world is to block on a punt. But they can't remember the snap count on a punt. That's your job. That's all you're paid to do, is play on special teams. I don't know how to remember the snap count, Coach. I was thinking about that whore I was with and the other night and doing blow with her. I can't remember the snap count though. And you will worship these men like they're gods. They are brain dead men, muscular men that have ruined their brains with concussions and drugs and booze and partying. They're women abusing freaks that don't deserve our attention. But we just pay millions of dollars to watch these games. Corporations behind it, betting companies now, gambling. The average American, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll just watch them. That's all I do. Sunday is my day to watch football, smoke cigarettes and chew tobacco and drink beer. Yeah. Yeah. I'm American. It's what we do. And then we fight in wars that tell us to fight that make no sense. Yeah. But my mom was home slipping on the street. But I'm over here in Iraq killing Iraqis for what reason I don't know. But I'll do it because they told me to. Yep. That's what they told me to do. I don't know. I don't get it anymore. Well, guys, I gotta go to the store here and buy some stuff and get ready for some things this weekend. And keep the stories coming. I'll try my best to keep up with the responses, and I'll keep you updated on the documentary. I hope you have a good rest of the week. Hope I didn't bring you all down, but hang in there if you're working in a call center. It's just a matter of how you look at it. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for all for watching and tuning in tonight. Have a good night. Bye.